Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for appreciating my previous video. For liking and seeing the videos. Today's video we're gonna work on the lower back and hamstring, and there's a simple way to stabilize the legs and stabilize the lower back, and the focus is going to be on our inner thighs. We're gonna focus on the top half of the inner thighs, and working on that part will help us to expand the pelvis, inviting the curve on the lower back, and also it helps us to open the hamstring big time. Chicken, sit down. Sit down. Time to sit down now. Time to be quiet, okay? Okay, so we're going to be focusing on the inner thighs to open the body, and here, this is your inner thigh, right? And I divided into two parts on the inner thigh. This is the top half of the inner thigh, and this is the bottom half of the inner thigh. So we're going to just use the top half of the inner thigh from groin to the mid thigh. So you're just going to use this part, and you're going to move this part towards the back of the body, pretty much for whole practice. So tendons is this inner thigh, they go forward in the movement, and our job is to move them towards the back of the body, and doing that is a balancing work in the practice. Again, the reason to do this is to stabilize the back of the body, stabilizing the legs, opening the hamstring, inviting a curve in the lower back, and also it helps us to expand the pelvis. And eventually in later practice, the foot can go behind the head if you're targeting that work. So that can be achieved through your inner thighs work. Anyway, that's the work we're gonna do. Let's start. Okay, we're gonna start in a downward dog. So here, we're just gonna lengthen the body just by being in a downward dog. So on your inhale, you move your inner thighs back away from the top edge of the mat, away from the hands here. It's a simple way to lengthen the legs, lengthen the spine, pretty much lengthen the whole body. It's a very simple and effective way to get the result. So on the inhale, inner thighs back away from your arms and chest in the downward dog. You can hold it for a couple of breaths. I feel a good stretch on the legs. Again, this is my second practice, after a long gap, and it feels good. Walking forward to standing forward bend. Grounding the feet, all sides of the feet are heavy. Now keeping that, on your inhale, you move your inner thighs towards the back edge of the mat. You can let your body hang, upper body hang, keep it relaxed towards the ground while you're just triggering your inner thighs. Push your inner thighs back and inhale, come up. Keep the inner thighs back. Arms by your side. Again, your mantra today in the practice is keeping your inner thighs towards the back of the body. And that itself is a balancing work in the body to keep your body in an even position. Okay, let's start. Inhale. Arms up, inner thighs back. Exhale, fold. When you fold, you keep moving inner thighs back. Step the left foot back. Ground your feet, and then lay your back inner thigh away from the ground. Keeping that, you come up on the inhale. When you exhale again today, you can just relax your skin But when you relax the skin, don't let the inner thigh drop. You want to keep it away from the ground. Hands on the ground. You step forward. Other leg back. Inner thigh away from the ground. Keeping that, you come up. Hands on the ground. Step back to downward dog. Push the inner thighs back. Shift to plank. Now here, the inner thighs back is towards the sky. They drop towards the ground. You want to move them up until your hips are in line with the shoulders. The torso is parallel to the ground. Keeping your inner thighs back, you move to low plank. Lean forward your chest. Your forearms are vertical here. Again, the thighs drop. You want to move them up and lie down. Point the feet. Push your inner thighs back. That will help you to ground your feet. And that's the good thing in the practice. Then come up, keeping inner thighs back. Chicken. Stop barking. Sit down. Sit down, chicken. Inner thighs back here. Walk forward to standing forward bend. You move your inner thighs back, keeping that bend the knees. Chair pose. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Step the left foot back. We're going to do a few more sets of lunges to wake up the muscle in the legs. It's a good thing to do in the practice, in the beginning of the practice, waking up the leg muscles. Inner thigh up on the back leg. Thumbs up. Hands on the ground, step forward, switch your legs, right inner thigh towards the ceiling. That means your back inner thigh up. Keeping that, you come up. Again, this work is so effective in opening the body and strengthening the body. It's a one action, two target. Expansion and strength. Two in one go. Inner thighs back. Shift to plank. Keep your inner thighs away from the ground. Low plank. Keep your inner thighs away from the ground. And lie down. Point the feet. Inner thighs back is here towards the ceiling. Then you come up, keeping your inner thighs back. Keeping the inner thighs back here, it helps us to keep the lower back spacious. Especially when you're doing the back bend, you don't want to contract the back of the body. Especially your lumbar region, you want to keep your lower back spacious in the back bend. And that is a real back bend, keeping your back free in the back bend. That should be the goal in the back bend. Downward dog. Walk forward to standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Bend the knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. Touch the floor, standing forward bend. Step the left foot back. Okay, let's do one more set of lunges. Keep your inner thigh up. Right. Now we can, this one, we can, keeping inner thigh up, you'll add a little bit back bend here to test, your lower back, whether the lower back spacious or not, to explore the back bend here. It gives a nice stretch to your psoas here. Hands on the ground, step forward, switch your legs. Keep your inner thigh up. Inner thigh up. Adding some back bends. Wow. Oof. Oh, dog. Again. After a long gap, it's a struggle. But if you want to build up the practice, gotta, open to the struggle enough. And if you have a hard time, stepping on the mat to continue the practice, sometimes simply remembering the intention helps to come back. Shift to plank, low plank. Lean on your fingertips, but you keep your inner thighs back. Lie down. Point the feet. Come up, cobra. Bhujangasana. Downward dog. Walk forward. Keep your inner thighs back away from the top edge of the mat, keeping that chair pose. Standing forward bend. Step the left foot back. Chicken, give me some room. Spin the back heel down. And then from here you come to warrior two. Now here, right? We have a top edge of the mat, back edge of the mat, right and left. So here, now the back inner thigh wants to push forward. So you want to pull it back that way, which is towards the right edge of the mat for me. So keeping inner thigh back, take your right forearm on your right thigh, left arm over the head. Now on the inhale, your back inner thigh towards the right edge of the mat, or pull it back. It helps to anchor the feet. It helps to open the front hip, your right hip. From here, you can descend your right hand on the floor beside the bottom foot heel. From there, we can go to Trikonasana, triangle pose. Pull the inner thigh back, straighten your front leg, slide the hand back until your arm is vertical. If you can take a top arm over the head, that's okay. But focus on the inner thigh, your back inner thigh. Pull it back away from the left edge of the mat. Hands on the ground, then step forward. We're going to do the other side. Right foot back, spin the back heel down. Your back inner thigh, pull it back away from the right edge of the mat, and coming up to warrior two. Pull it back, left forearm on the left thigh, right arm over the head. Draw the inner thigh back. It's such a nice way to open the waistline and psoas on the top side, on the right side here. Now keeping the inner thigh back, left hand on the ground, beside. Then I go straightening the front leg for triangle pose. The front leg hamstrings fires up from pulling the back inner thigh back. Hands on the ground. This time we'll go to downward dog. Inner thighs back. Shift to plank, come down on knees, and then take a breath. So when we're doing this practice, again, if you're new or if you have stopped the practice, your arches kind of burns a little bit because you're reactivating the muscle on your feet, and that's normal. And if it burns, you can come down, take a breath, just let it soften and relax a little bit. So here. We're gonna add a little unbalancing here. We're gonna do Pinchamayurasana, the forearm handstand, stand. So in the forearm stand, at least, even we're focusing on the inner thigh in the pose, at least you need to be mindful of your foundation, which is your forearm and the hands. So what you need to do is make sure your fingertips are heavy and your elbows are heavy on the ground, because that gives you a lot of lift, and inner thighs will kind of readjust the legs and the torso. You feel light, okay? And you want to feel light in the upside down work. So here, I go forearms on the ground. I keep my elbows heavy. Your fingertips are heavy. You keep them heavy. Foundation, you gotta go down. Gotta have the roots strong so the trunk and the branches can, have more freedom to expand. All right, keeping the fingertips, elbows heavy. I lift my knees up. Now I push my inner thighs away from the elbows first, away from the top edge of the mat, and then one leg up. And then you swing. Now, when you're upside down, now your inner thighs gotta go towards the back of the body. That means gotta go towards the top edge of the mat, or the front of the room. Okay? The inner thighs back. And keeping your inner thighs back also helps you to keep the foundation. The elbows go down itself, which is a good thing. Okay, coming down. That's my work on the Pinchamayurasana today. Okay, you're gonna stand up. We can reverse the blood flow by standing up. You can stand up slowly, right? You don't have to rush, especially when the blood is like going the other way. You want to come up slowly, especially the beginning of the practice. So here we're gonna do the tree, lifting the right foot up. But before you lift the right foot up, take the standing leg inner thigh pulled back towards the back of the body, keeping that right leg up on your inner thigh. Pull the inner thighs back, especially your standing leg inner thigh has to go back, because that is a balancing work in the body. That's the primary work today. Inner thigh back. Arms down, foot down, feet together. And my legs, my feet are kind of burning. Again, that's happening because lack of practice for a long time. Right inner thigh back. Again, if you have stopped your practice for a long time, you catch up with me, we'll practice together. Sharing the kind of struggle together. If you have stopped, it's going to be struggle a little bit to catch up, to what we have built up in the past. So it's a struggle. And the reason to open to the struggle is to, is to stay fit in the body. Staying fit in the body is very supportive in life. So that could be a simple intention to have in the practice. Okay, Uttanasana, standing forward bend. We're going to take the left foot back, then sliding the right hand forward and hop the back foot off the ground for Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. You lean forward on your toes and your fingertips. Now keeping that, your standing leg, your top leg, inner thigh, you pull back away from the left edge of the mat. That's it. We can add a little bit here. Warrior 3. Take your back leg, inner thigh away from the ground. You can start with the bent knee on the bottom. Inner thighs back, especially your left inner thigh towards the sky. That will help you to readjust the hips as well. And stand up and fit together. Woo! I can feel the heat. And here, if you feel the arches, burned, what you do is push the big toe and the ball of the foot. You push down that area because that will help you to rearrange the muscle on your feet. Standing forward bend, let's do the other side, right foot back and hop. Lean forward on your big toe side, the standing leg big toe, and top inner thigh back away from the right edge of the mat. If you take your inner thigh back, on the inhale, the chest can expand towards the front rather than collapsing towards the ground. Okay, bend the bottom knee. You can bend both knees to catch up, to catch your breath. Right inner thigh up. Lean on your standing leg, big toe, and then right inner thigh back. Stand up. Oh, big toe side heavy. To readjust your feet. Okay. We're going to do Uttita Hasta Parangustasana. Feet heavy. Inner thighs back. Your standing leg, inner thigh pull back. Catch your right foot from outside. Oops. Inner thigh back. Pulling it back. Extend the left leg forward. All right. Open out. Oh my God. Okay. Inner thighs back. Extend. Open out. Bottom leg, inner thigh back. Come back and release. Okay. Stretch up. Exhale, fold. Step the left foot back. Drop the knee down, back knee on the floor. Come up. Alright, your back foot heavy. Make the big toe side heavy, because that is a balancing work. Left arm up. Exhale, hook. Your palms together. Then your back leg, inner thigh, pull back away from the top edge of the mat. Again, that will help you to get the turn in your lower back. Also, inner thigh back will help you to readjust the hips. Try to stay in the lunge when you're doing the twist. Don't come out of the twist. Don't come out lunge. You stay in the lunge or fix your inner thigh. Hands on the ground. Step forward. We're going to do the other side. Right now we are kind of doing, like one pose at a time. Once we start to catch up with the practice, once we build up enough, then we can link the postures more and make it as a, vinyasa, the flow class or power class. But in the beginning, doing one thing at a time is more. It's better to invite stability, to understand, its postures. Feet heavy. Your back inner thigh, pull back away from the top edge of the mat. Hands on the floor, downward dog. From here we can go to left foot, outer edge of the left foot. You can flex the toes and stack the right foot on the left or bring it in front of you, right? It's up to you. But eventually, first stays his feet together. First level. Here, right? Inner thigh back. Especially bottom inner thigh has to go back. That will pose forward. Pull it back. Flip to wild thing. Inner thighs back. Downward dog. We can do the pigeon to catch the breath. Your back inner thigh gotta go towards the sky. That will help you to open the right hip. You can point the feet. Especially when you move your inner thigh back, your back foot will ground more. You can on the inhale, inner thigh back. If you don't understand which direction to move the inner thigh back, you put your inquiry in the comment in the video, right? So I can let you know which direction to move your inner thigh according to the the pose, because the direction is changing according to the pose. So if you're confused, again, put your question in the comments. Other side plank, bottom inner thigh back away from the right edge of the mat, stacking the feet, hips, shoulders in the pose. Looking down is good. Looking down actually helps to keep the hand heavy. There's a biomechanic to that. Inner thighs back and flip to wild thing. If you notice the bottom leg, It's still in the side plank position, just taking the top leg back to flipping. Downward dog. Come down the knees. Okay, we're gonna do a side plank again. Again, in the side plank, you have to watch your inner thighs. The bottom inner thigh wants to expose towards the front more, the front of the body, and you want to pull it back. So that helps you to stabilize your foundation, and that helps you to stack the hips. Stacking the hips is important in the side plank. So we're just gonna a little bit add into the side plank. We're gonna do a side plank with the tree. So the focus is still the same, inner thigh back. You know, keep the one mantra. Keeping that one focus is the way to you know, a way to be meditative. You know, way to be more ekargrata. You know, inviting that one pointedness. Focus in the game. In the beginning, you know, inviting that one pointedness is kind of hard because the mind, the bubble of the mind starts to distract us, you know, because of the ideas. But once you start to focus, the distraction starts to dissolve, and we gain that, you know, that zooming attitude in the practice. Hey, here we go. Side plank. Turn on the outer edge of the left foot. Bottom inner thigh pull back towards the back of the body. Keeping that, you catch your right foot, slide it up on your inner thigh. And then pull it back. And then take your top arm over the head. Your bottom inner thigh back. Yeah, that's it. All right. Take your top foot behind you to flip the wild thing. Downward dog. We're going to do the other side. Turn. Bottom inner thigh back. Lift the other foot up. Catch your foot. Slide up on the inner thigh. Pull it back. Pull it back. And flip wild thing. If you notice, I'm not changing my bottom leg, still in a side plank position. Downward dog. Inner thighs back. Plank. Low plank. Lie down. Rise cobra. If your feet are light, that means your inner thighs are not back yet. So pull your inner thighs back. Your feet starts to go heavy itself. So inner thighs plays the role of the foundation as well. And at the same time, it deepens the curve on your lower back. Walk forward. Push your inner thighs back to widen the pelvis, to get the length on the lower back, to lengthen the hamstring. Left foot back. Drop the knee down. Turn the right foot out. 2 o'clock. Stand on your left hand fingertips to create the height. Left arm, right arm back. Catch your back foot. Lift the back foot off the ground. Hold it from inside or outside, doesn't matter. And then you go down on your forearm. If going down the forearm is too much on your back leg, quadricep, if it's your hip flexors and quad is on fire, you just stay up, right? If you're more open, then you can go down on the ground, your forearm on down. And your back inner thigh still away from the ground here and away from the top edge of the mat. That will trigger your quadricep more on the back leg. While you're keeping inner thigh back, you can move your chest forward towards the top edge of the mat to get a bigger stretch. Okay. Then from here, what we're going to do is set the hands, and then you move to three-legged downward dog. Not three-legged. Yeah, one-legged downward dog. Your hands are on the ground, your foot down, right? And then from your bend the knee, bend both knees like this. From here, from here, you bend the top leg, bend the bottom leg, open the hips to the side, and then you flip. And that's it. Inner side back, and lift the lower back up away from the ground to get a bigger height. From here, we do the other side. You can walk forward to standing forward bend just to keep the body in a symmetrical line, and then move your inner thighs back to stabilizing the body. After asymmetrical pose, coming back to the symmetrical pose is balancing work. Right foot back, drop the knee down, 20 foot out. Then from here, take your arm back, catch your foot. Then you go down the forearm. Back inner thigh away from the top edge of the mat while opening your chest towards the front. Okay, let go of your foot. Arms straight, set the hands to one-legged dog. Inner thigh back on the standing leg. Bend both knees, open the hips, and then you flip. Then inner thighs back. An arch. Downward dog. Shift to plank, low plank, and lie down. Then from here, you bend the knees, get your ankles. And then here, in this pose, you have to move your inner thighs towards the ceiling. Okay, inhale, come up, chest up. You readjust your grip, and then inner thighs towards the sky. And release. Come on to hands and knees. Actually, we can go to downward dog to lengthen the body. On the knees. Toes are tucked under. For the camel pose. On your knees, on your feet. So again, in the back, especially in the back bend, your inner thighs, they go forward, and you want to avoid that. Inner thighs forward. It gives you a lot of posterior tilt, and posterior tilt is a length. It's good quality, but before we create a length and a strength, we need to maintain the space in the lower back, so the back is more even. The space is even between each vertebra. That's the goal in the back bend. So inner thighs forward is in a strength and a length, but before we have that quality, gotta have the inner thighs back. That is the balancing work in the back bend. So move the inner thighs back here, start to do that. That will help you to keep the feet heavy as well. Hands to hips, inner thighs back, Inner thighs back, lift the chest up, lift the low, even you push your lower back towards the sky, keeping inner thighs back. Then you get your heels if you're there. Otherwise you can start with just hands on the hips, that's totally fine. Now notice how the inner thighs go forward, you pull it back. Inner thighs back. If your feet are losing the ground, that means you have lost your inner thighs. So that's a sign that you gotta invite the work, the supportive work. Keeping inner thighs back, you come up. Okay. Now my feet starts to get better. It's not burning much now. So you feel like the muscle starts to open up as well. Alright, we're gonna lie down, do a few more back bends. We're gonna do some bridge, do some Urdhva Dhanurasana. The simple general level 1 back bends. Okay, the reason to do the back bends, level 1 back bends at the end, especially the Dhanurasana, which is the bow pose, Ustrasana, which is camel pose, now bridge pose, Setu and then wheel pose, Urdhva Dhanurasana, right? Those are those are much deeper to the cobra pose in some level. So at the end it's better because your legs are stronger through the foundational work, and your psoas is much more open, lengthened. So that gives a lot of room to do more freedom in the back bend. It gives you more room to have that ease. Anyway, we're gonna do the bridge. Elbows down like this, elbows heavy. Your palms can be face each other. Feet are parallel, close to your butt. Your feet are apart, hip distance. Heels are close to your butt. Elbows are heavy. And from there, you lift the hips up, inhale, lift the chest up. Now here also, the inner thighs they want to go up. You want to keep them back on your inhale so the chest can be open towards the top edge of the mat. Elbows heavy, feet heavy. You can do that on your exhale. Coming down, taking the couple of breaths before we go up again. Again, elbows heavy. You arch your lower back, you can start there. Arching the lower back takes the inner thighs back naturally. The flow is that. Again, from the beginning to the end, the focus is still one thing: simplicity. Simplicity is the way to move away from the confusion and complexity. Even you don't do a lot other stuff, you'll still be okay. We can focus one thing at a time. Once you train your body enough, once you know structures, then you can invite a couple of more work. But in the beginning of the practice, it's very good to have a structural practice. It's good to understand what one principle can bring in the body. If you have too much focus, then the awareness is dancing in too many places. That means the mind is dancing as well. That will be the byproduct. So to have to invite the anchor quality in oneself, let our awareness focus in one thing. Again, that is called meditation. Okay, inner thighs back. This is the third bridge. If you're new, the 3 bridges burns your legs a lot. So start with the 1. That's okay. You build up your practice slowly. If it burns, you take a rest. Especially when we feel the burn. The commitment in the practice is not 100%. So you're taking the rest and coming back with, full on, rather than doing so much but without the precision. It's not worth it. Okay, we're gonna do Urdhva Dhanurasana. Place your hands beside your ears, over your shoulders. Right? If you have a long hair, you fix it. Move your hair away from the way. All right, same thing. Hips up, chest up. Come to the top of the head on your inhale. Hips up, chest up on your head. You can readjust your hands and feet on your inhale. Move your inner thighs back and go up. Down. Take a breath. I feel like it's already better from the first video. Whatever you have gained in the past practice, right? Those kind of the path is still there, but it's kind of covered with piles of other stuff. But once you come back to the practice, all that, the layers that covers the previous flow starts to reveal itself. That will happen in the body. So that's opening. Actually, the opening will be much faster when we come back to the practice. But if we don't practice, then the outer layer starts to build up, and then we get tighter and tighter. And then that's the way to lose the practice. Inner thighs back, hips up, chest up, come to the top of the head. Hips up, chest up, roll on your head. Then inhale, inner thighs back, while you're moving your chest towards the top edge of the mat. And come down. I'm not holding the pose too long because I want to, give my body to understand where we're heading, and but not, torturing the body. But I want the body to recognize the flow. Basically, what we're doing is conditioning the, position slowly. And that is a way not to hurt yourself in the practice. Conditioning is a natural way. It's an organic way. You can't force it. We build up a little by little. Every effort actually creates a dent. And then the dent starts to go bigger. That means we start to build up the healthy conditioning. Okay, let's do one more time. Right. And inner thighs back, and then hips up, chest up, roll onto the top of the head. Keep the back of the neck open, and then inhale, inner thighs back. Every time I move my inner thighs back, I feel the pose is expanding. Okay. So here, after that, we can straighten your legs, and then hug the right knee to your chest. And catch the back of the right thigh and take the bottom inner thigh towards the ground, because that's towards the back of the body. And that will help you to lengthen the lower back, lengthen the hamstring on the lifted leg. Okay, stretch the legs, You know, you want to watch yourself in the practice, you know. Your eyes are open, but your awareness is watching yourself. And if your awareness is watching yourself, you know, that is the first inward journey. And yoga is the first inward journey, moving away from the world to, you know, to stick with yourself. And once this, you know, focus starts to build up, being aware of ourselves, then, you know, this work is helpful, it's needed, it's essential to overcome the fear in us as well, because the fear is within us. There are issues that brings the fear in us, and to dissolve the fear, you know, one has to be aware of oneself. Again, the fear is within, it's not outside. The outside fear may trouble us, but still it's happening in us. So if you want to dissolve the fear, then we must be aware of ourselves. And yoga is the kind of superficial, you know, it's a surface level of the practice to invite that quality. You can hug your knees to your chest. Roll to your side, right? And we're gonna do one more time downward dog, just to lengthen the legs, lower back, you know, your arms. Again, a symmetrical pose is a good way to stay in balance. Lengthening the body with the inner thighs back. Okay, that's all in the practice today. Hope you like the practice. Again, put down your comments, you know, like, subscribe, share with your friends. This is the free stuff anyway, right? You know, free stuff in the internet, you know, free stuff on the YouTube. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Ciao.